tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
Welcome back to another episode of All Things Real Estate.
Soon to be changed. I'll tell you what, why don't we just jump into that right now? Well,
a couple name changes?
How are we doing this? We're throwing some names out there, and our listeners are going to vote. And whichever one has the biggest vote is what we're going to take?
Absolutely. We're going to do a little contest.
Wow. So are you going to have a list? Is our producer going to have a list of all these on the slide? And
yeah, do you want to shoot some off? What did you bring, Mark?
Real news. How about that?
Real
news?
Straight into the point.
Years ago when I first started my business, my newsletter, I used to have to, we didn't have email back then, right? We actually had to go and hand deliver our stuff around the neighborhood. It was called Real News, and it was a community newsletter that I put out. Real News.
Total side note, I told Ben today how I didn't have a cell phone through high school, and the bewildered look on his face like, you what?
All right, so let's throw out some names there.
Go ahead.
What do we got?
I got a couple.
We'll go.
Go ahead, Ben.
Silicon Valley Realty Rundown.
Okay.
That's good.
What about you, Jason?
This one could be a podcast name, or if we ever put out a magazine, could be the cover of a magazine.
Okay.
I like that.
Keeping it real, semicolon, Silicon Valley.
I like that because you can make that a series. Keeping it real, Silicon Valley, Santa Clara County, Bay Area, LA County. Well, we might be able to.
We just got to stay consistent.
And that's great, but again, that kind of poses the same issue because the all things real estate, very generic. Keeping it real, I think, is pretty used as well. But it's a great name for a podcast. I don't know if another podcast has that.
Okay.
So great name.
All right, awesome. Are we just doing one each?
No, I got another one too.
I got a couple more.
Let's go, G.
I got Bay Area's Brick and Banter.
Brick and banter.
Brick meaning property, and banter meaning
banter. All right, what else we got?
All right, I got a Bay Area Property Pulse.
Interesting. Okay,
I'm just trying to keep Bay Area or Silicon Valley tied in somewhere.
Yep,
that's fine with me.
I'll throw in one for David. Unlocking Silicon Valley.
I like that. It doesn't necessarily say anything real estate related, but Silicon
unlocking
Valley
a door.
is a geo. Yeah, unlocking. I like that. I like that.
All right, put yourself in there. You're on your phone. You're scrolling. Apple Podcast. Oh, you see Silicon Valley Today. You may click on that.
Silicon Valley Today.
Well, okay. Cool. So I think it sounds like we got about a half dozen decent names out there, and we're gonna run it out.
If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and just type in your answer in the comment section.
We're just gonna do a poll.
Well, yeah. So and the YouTubers who are listening, if you want to follow us on Instagram, which I hope you already do, you will find the poll on our story and possibly a post. So
absolutely.
Does the winner get anything other than just to say they had the right to name our podcast? Or
do we get them on for like a quick
Oh, that'd be cool, huh? Let's have the winner
sneak
on.
peek.
Yeah, and
how long you've been watching? Tell us what you like about the podcast.
How about a gift certificate to a nice restaurant in town?
We got a couple of those floating around right now.
How good you are. All right, let's jump into some stats. I've got some interesting things here. Stats, and they're not changing. I mean, single-family homes, Santa Clara County right now, we have an 832 on the market. Coming soon, there's 262. So condos, we're at 492. Coming soon, 126. So if you combine them together with coming soon, condos and single family, it's about 1,600 total units, right? Which is a bigger number we've seen in the past. But if you narrow it down to the non-coming soon, 832 single family homes available.
262 coming soon.
262 single family homes coming soon.
We have 10% of the market share coming soon.
And you have 739 pending. So that's a true 832 active, 739 pending. And that's pretty much been the same.
Yeah, it's been pretty similar.
And then if we look at, you look at Los Gatos, Montesreno, if we narrow it down into where we're sitting right now, you've got 70 on the market in all of LG Montesreno, not including, their non-Los Gatos schools, but all in that area. 54 in Los Gatos School District. And here's the interesting thing. What's the lowest price single-family home listed in Los Gatos Montesreno right now?
Right now? 1921.
18.
That fixer.
195.
Yeah, it's that fixer.
And the most expensive?
Oh, there's a one that 5.7 right now, or no?
No,
there's
19
million. Yeah, that's Sobey Road.
19 million.
Right?
19 million.
It's on Sobey Road.
No,
Sobey Road. There's a 20.
I don't have that on there. I looked at it this morning, but maybe you might be right.
Okay.
No, it won't be Sobey Road because these are. No.
Oh, that's Saratoga.
Saratoga.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting one. What is the lowest price house in Santa Clara County right now? It's been on the market for 4 days.
Lowest
And
price.
we're going to post a picture of this because this will be an amazing one for everybody to see.
Is this a $499 downtown San Jose?
This is a $250,000 property up in Chiquita Park. And you wait till you see the photo on this thing. It is more than a teardown.
It's burnt down.
Is it a shed?
It's basically a shed. I think it was a wood shed at back. And what's the most expensive property on the market right now in Santa Clara County? It's actually, the hint is that it's close to Chiquita Park.
Oh, it's here.
Oh.
56 mil.
I would say 20, 25.
32.8 mil. And do you know what property it is? You guys know where Chiquita Park is, right? Los Gatos Mountains,
Yeah,
area 23. So it's kind of in that same area. Lupin, the nudist farm.
Oh, my Lord.
It is 32.8 million. It's on the market right now. So if
rid
you
of
want to
it.
own a nudist colony,
It's
32 million bucks.
That's an option for you.
112 acres.
Speaking of options, is it an option to wear clothes when touring that, or do you have to go naked to
gotta hang your
tour?
When in Rome?
You know, like you can't come in here.
Whoa.
Bacteria. Yeah, bacteria.
All of a sudden, Ben's going to be setting up some tours up there real quick with all his buddies in tow.
You've been there 3 times this week, Ben.
I got a lot of buyers.
All the open houses.
There you go. Couple of stats. Recently, Santa Clara County just became, our average price point was $2 million. The average home is $2 million.
Incredible.
We got some great stats with that.
Let's bring them on.
Well, hold on a second. We'll bring that on in a second.
we'll
but it's
bring that
pretty,
later.
it's pretty interesting. So average home, $2 million in Santa Clara County.
crazy.
Did you know in San Jose, we just went from the 10th largest city in the United States to the 13th? So even as prices are rising, we are shrinking in size.
Is that population?
Yeah.
Interesting.
San Jose is number 13 now.
Interesting.
And we were 10.
Okay. 10th largest city in America?
In America.
In America. No doubt.
Here's the list. I'll run it down real quick. Starting at number 1.
I love my list. Go for it.
New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Philly, San Antonio, San Diego, Dallas, Jacksonville, Fort Worth, Austin, and then San Jose. So we're just behind Austin.
We're bigger than like Denver or
So we are,
Detroit,
yeah.
yes.
So again, to repeat that stat, we always say Austin and San Jose almost the exact same size, and they have 9,000 homes on the market.
That's
and
crazy. That's crazy.
we aren't. And I guarantee if
We
we
got
break down that
1,000.
Santa Clara County stat of 800 something homes to just
Yeah.
San Jose, we're probably looking at 400.
Well, that's just it. When you break that down, I mean, you're pretty much less than 10% in each area, right? There's
Easily.
23 areas within Santa Clara County, and each one of those are going to have. I mean, look at Los Gatos. You got 54 homes on the market.
And I feel like I've said to clients too that Santa Clara County is the same size as Austin.
Yeah.
But it's just San Jose. It's just San Jose that is as big as Austin, not the county.
right.
And so
Yeah,
they
I
have
agree.
9,000 homes in the same amount of space of just San Jose. Imagine literally North San Jose. You have Cambrian, East San Jose.
Yeah, but hold on.
No,
I think
But when
from-
we say Austin, it's Travis County. It's the whole Austin area, right? That encompasses like Kyle and Buda and all those
I'm
things.
sure it does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right?
they have
because you're not going to have 9,000 homes just in the city of Austin.
Yeah.
But just
I
like
guess.
Santa Clara County. I mean, listen, Santa Clara County, we have 832 single-family homes compared to 9,000 in the same size.
It would be
county,
interesting to look
your
more
point.
into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, Austin has a lot more space, so they have a lot more newer construction, and it's a lot more spaced out, whereas...
Like LA.
Ours
Easier to
ours
build.
very-
They have a
yeah.
lot more availability,
Yeah.
cheaper land cost.
Exactly, but from a population standpoint, right, like supply and demand perspective, it's very comparable because the population sizes are the same. So if you have 900 homes in our county right here and 9,000 in Austin, I'm sure it's a little lesser now, but at one point they had 9,000, which is
The rental market down there is real. I mean, the resale market's starting to level off a little bit and come back, but the rental market's terrible down there. I mean, our properties are down 20%. Hate to tell you that, Ben.
Yeah.
So we're down 20% on the rental value
One
once
of
they
my-
come up for rent.
one of my clients, that partner team of ours out there,
Yeah.
they just helped one of my clients buy an investment property, buying
Okay.
the dip in the Austin
Yeah.
market,
Not
and
a
they
bad time to
rented it
buy.
out too.
Good opportunity.
So they're looking long term.
Right.
Austin may bounce back, and
It will.
Yeah.
It will. It will. All right. What's next? Ben, what do you got?
Well, I mean, me and G were kind of going back and forth with this earlier today, and we've been speaking a lot, I think, in previous podcasts about how the new NAR law change is going to affect buyers and the potential that they may
Sure.
or may not have to pay the buyer's agent commission. But what we haven't spoke about or touched topic on a lot is how these conversations have been going with sellers. And now their questions are starting to come up on why do we need to offer a commission out to the buyer's agent? I heard we don't have to. And I'm going to let Jeet break this down, but at the end of the day, by a buyer having to pay 2.5% commission, they're losing between 8 and 13% of purchase power. And on the reverse side, the sellers are potentially leaving 8 to 13% on the table.
Let's hear what you and Jeet have to say, because I have my own opinion, but go ahead.
So, as we mentioned,
Right.
San Jose or Santa Clara County median price point is now $2 million, right? If the buyer has to pay their own agent out of pocket, assuming that they're maxed out at that $2 million price point, they are now qualified for 1.8 because they no longer have that 20% down at that $2 million price
So you got
point.
to put it aside for the commission.
Exactly.
Right.
So now they're not looking at that $2 million home.
And that's just
they're looking at
$50K.
1.8.
That's a $50K commission equates out to a $200,000 price reduction.
Exactly. So that that $2 million buyer is now looking at 1.8. That $1.8 million buyer is now looking at 1.6. So as a seller, I would totally be incentivized to pay that buyer's agent, because it not only allows you to increase that buyer pool, but it helps them pay more for your home and actually consider your home as an option, whereas otherwise they may not be able to afford that home. So we've always had that paid forward model, and it's not just out of the goodness of the seller's hearts. There's actually some data behind it that that supports this model.
I agree. I'm very hesitant and concerned about this new settlement. I'm not a fan of it, and not because I want to be the buyer's agent making all the commission. I don't think it's in the best interest of the buyer or the seller. I just don't. To hide what the commission's going to be offered out. I mean, you can ask for it, but it's not front and center anymore. It's a negotiable thing where, by the way, in California, it's always been negotiable. California wasn't the reason that this lawsuit came around at all.
We're just affected by it.
Exactly. And to your point, right now, yes, I think it is to the benefit of a seller to still offer out a commission. If we take Los Gatos just an example. We got 54 homes on the market. 46 of those homes are still offering out 2.5% commission. Another 2 or 3 will be at 2.25, and the lowest is 2%. Up the peninsula, we are starting to see $10,000 offered out. And agents now, as of August 17th, right, we have to have the buyer-broker agreement in place before we even show a property, which means we're having that conversation with the buyer. Hey, just like I have a contract with my seller, I need a contract with you. And I charge 2.5% for my time. That's kind of what my going rate is. And whatever the variance is from what the seller's offering and what the 2.5% is, you're going to pay that amount. It's a challenging conversation to have, but it's reality. And I think as time goes on and evolves, you're going to see more flat rate commissions coming in, 10,000 flat fees, or 0% being offered out, and we're going to have to bob and weave. Now, again, is that to the benefit to the seller? My conversation right now is, until the market starts changing, where 80% plus is offering 0, and even if it was offering 0, I'll tell you, if I was selling my own house and everybody else is offering 0, I'll put 3% out there.
Exactly.
I mean, when the average price is $2 million, it's amazing to see people get so focused on saving a dollar here or there, when ultimately it's to bring as many buyers possible. We have done an incredible job, our team, with generating multiple offer scenarios. And those multiple offers will drive that price up as high as possible. But we're able to do that because we offer out those incentives to the buyer's agent. If you limit the pool, as you were saying, I'd much rather have a client put out 2.5% where we can generate 20 offers on that property rather than offer out nothing, and maybe get 1 or 2 offers come in.
Yep, exactly. And from this example, right, that $2 million buyer goes to 1.8. So now who's buying that $2 million home? The guy that could afford $2.2 million home, right? So it's just shrinking that whole affordability on the buyer side.
And the pushback to your comment comes, the lenders are going to get on board with this, and the lender is going to allow the buyer to borrow the commission or bake the commission into the loan. But to your point, the buyer's still going to have to pay for that. Right? I mean, $2 million. What's the commission on $2 million?
It's it depends on if it's 2.5.
Let's say 2.5.
It's $50,000.
$50,000. I mean, $50,000 is going to be a significant amount of increase to somebody's mortgage payment,
especially a first-time home buyer who has to worry about commission, closing, buying new furniture for the home. There's a lot of money that goes into place that I think, as the first-time home buyer,
if this thing rolls out the way that it's expected to, where everybody's embracing it, as I've said before, I think buyer's agents are an endangered species. As it is, and I think it's going to create, again, this is where I don't think it's in the best interest of everybody, it's going to create a lot of double ending situations where the listing agents can be representing both sides, which for some reason, California is one of the few states that still allows that. You're going to have a lot of things happening behind closed doors, which is not in the benefit of the consumer at all.
Do you think it'll lead to more lawsuits that will
100%.
that'll
Absolutely.
potentially get rid of dual agency?
I'm not a fan of dual agency. I know we always have these conversations and everything. It's a great way for the agent to make more money, but is it truly in the best interest of the consumer? I don't believe it is. I do not believe that I can fully represent your best interest as a seller and your best interest as a buyer in the same transaction.
Absolutely.
I can't. There are some times where it works, right? It's a family member buying it or they're selling it to a friend and they just, you're bringing the parties together. But so this is going to be a very controversial statement for me, especially with my position, but personally, I would like to see California go to a point to where it is illegal to represent both sides of a transaction. Because that, in my opinion, 35 years in the business, that is in the best interest of the consumer.
Absolutely.
So, drop the mic.
And what we were talking about earlier goes back to not the golden rule, but another rule that's pretty close to that. Jeet, it's better to give than to receive. And if you're a seller out there and you want to get the most amount of money for your property, just give a little bit.
Exactly.
And see what happens.
50 grand, get 150 back.
It's funny. I just had a situation where a client that I've had for many, many years came to me with this. And they're like, Mark, here in Los Gatos, no matter what, I'm not paying a buyer's commission. So we had the whole conversation and everything. And in addition to that, I'm going to pay you X if you sell for this, Y if you sell for that. And it was like very low amount. And obviously we want, especially when it's in our backyard, we don't want to lose signs. We don't want to lose a deal over commission, right? However, at the same time, we're listing a family property. And I sat there and I'm offering out 2.5% of my family property. And I sat there, I just sat there, I walked away from the transaction, from that listing because one, I personally don't feel it's right, and I don't want to lead the charge of zero commission to co-op agents and be the only person in town doing that and be the experiment to see what type of offers we do get. I'll be watching this transaction. I think we all will to see what generates from it. But I said, wait a minute, Mark, you're offering out 2.5%. How can you justify working on the other side of it with no commission out to a co-op agent?
It's true.
These are all going to be very controversial conversations we're going to be having as things move forward and everything. The fact is we have to abide by the law, the settlement that came through, regardless if we like it or not. And it'll be really interesting to see how things evolve.
I mean, for as controversial as it is, I feel like when you get I feel like for as big of a engineering and tech economy we have, if you break down the numbers in front of these people, like it's really not hard to understand. Like you're physically losing buyers, not offering a commission. Like you are losing buyer power. And especially if these people are maxed out, and like Jeet said, like you get to a certain price point, let's say you get up to $3 million, most lenders need 25% down. It's not just 20%. So like you're dealing with a lot of different variables when it comes down to this. Lenders look at 12 months of reserves. They look at your income and how much you have putting down. Like they make sure that you have enough for the closing costs. Like and then to add another 25, 50 grand on, that small amount causes such chaos in it that again, you go down to that different price point, 1.8. If the average home is $2 million and you go down to 1.8, you're going to find boxes or you're going to find homes where,
well, it's below what the average is.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. It's going to be a below average property.
I mean, the argument to this whole thing is like, wait a minute, Ben, you're telling me if I don't offer out a commission to an agent, no one's going to show my house? That's not ethical.
That's not going to be an issue because that commission fee is going to go away, right? So if you don't offer it out, that's not going to be an issue starting August 17th. But it may affect buyers' affordability.
Well, but I, to your point, I know damn well nobody on our team will not show a property to a client regardless of what the commission is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't care if it's 0%, we will still show it to our client.
Absolutely.
And we'll do everything we can to ensure that they get the right house. And if it's the right house for them, we will damn well sell it to them and figure out how we make our money off from that down the road. But I do believe, just like the commercial industry right now, nobody promotes how much commission they make. But I'll guarantee you, people call around. The very first question that we're asked on a commercial transaction is, are you co-oping and what is your co-op fee? So you're going to have a lot of agents doing that in the residential field. That you're going to have, when the market gets more inventory, whatever, they got 6 properties to go to look. A prudent agent's going to be calling up those listing agents and say, what's your showing instructions, what's your co-op fee? And there might be some agents out there where, hey, I got 6 properties here, 5 of them are offering 2.5%, one of them's offering nothing, off the table. Again, nobody on our team would ever do that. But let's face it, I think there are agents who would, unfortunately.
That's true.
Well, yeah. I mean, the agents, that's a hard thing to kind of suck down. Like in the conversation yesterday with, the presentation in the office, it's like for the agents who don't do or have enough business and they start showing homes for 1% or they're okay doing it for, they would have to do 30 deals to even make, and even with that, there's not enough inventory to
really do that.
I mean, that's why we always focus on being advisors for our clients, really focusing on listings, right? I mean, we know as a team that listings generate business, generate buyers, and everything else. So the great thing within our team is that we don't survive on each individual transaction. It is the entirety of it all, right? And really taking care of our clients.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice because a lot of agents are going to fall
100%
off.
Totally.
And
they already are.
Yeah, so it'll decrease the amount of competition we have, and we'll only be competing with other good agents.
Right.
So the level of competition in terms of how fierce it is will increase because everyone will have to sharpen what they're doing. But
I just want to make sure anybody listening to this, especially any sellers looking at listing their home, is listen, it is up to you what you want to list for commission. You can do 0, you can do whatever, but do consider the situation you're creating by doing that for yourself in addition to the rest of the, I've always said any one of us can list a property. We're the best people out there. We're going to generate a lot of activity for your property, but we're still, 6 agents when we got 13,000 of them there in Santa Clara County, and I want every single one of them selling my home or selling my client's home.
Exactly.
Right?
That's true.
Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more
got an interesting article I came across. Still on the buyer side, let's talk about mortgages. This is a Lending Tree article. Headline big, 54% of buyers don't shop around for a mortgage.
I saw that.
Same poll, 45% of people that do shop around receive a better offer. And they do have a couple main reasons, but I want to see what you guys think on the reasonings behind that.
Well, I think any consumer, it's important for them to shop around to a certain degree. What kills us in our business is that we get a pre-approval done, we get them all ready to go, and then we go into contract, and then they start shopping the deal in contract, which is the least of the time that you want to do that, right? You want to get everything done up front. I'm okay. I hate calling it shopping around because, listen, the problem with interest rates are I can sit there and quote you anything you want to hear, but by the time it actually hits the underwriter's desk is when the rate is actually set, right? And a lot of times you'll see these ads where, 5% in today's world or whatever, and we know damn well you're not going to get 5%, but it gets the phone to ring, it gets them working on it, and it's 5% with the asterisk, a 2-point buy down.
And then this scenario, maybe even a 6-point buy down. I mean, the rates are 5. It's like 6.75.
We had 4 drops in the last couple of days with rates?
We've had a couple, but I think they're still in the mid 6s, and that's a great segue into like our platform, right? Remo. We get them multiple quotes, so they don't have to go to different places and different lenders. It's all in one place where they get multiple rate quotes. So it makes it a lot easier to make a decision. Now on the flip side, I had a transaction in December where the buyer shopped around after getting into contract with 7 different lenders. And we got to a point where he had to make a decision, otherwise we wouldn't close on time. And he chose wrong, right? Because he got so confused as to what he was telling people that it was a nightmare. And on the closing table, he realized he had multiple points, and he had to pay off his car, it just got a lot more expensive trying to save 1/8 of a point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'd always say that, listen, use us as your advisor, right? We know a lot of great people in this business. If you've got your own mortgage broker, use them. Great. Hopefully you've had a track record with them. But if you don't have your own, go with somebody that we recommend who's tried and true. Don't just pick up somebody you just called on the TV or a family member who just got their NMLS license.
Well, see, that's a good point, too. And I feel like when you say 54% of the people don't bounce rates around, it's like, you're in an open house, you meet a buyer, and now most of the buyers who come into open houses, they haven't even spoken to a lender yet. Even like the calls we get off Zillow, they don't speak to a lender. They're just strictly, we want the home. Some people are under the impression we're not going to show them homes until they're pre-approved. Some show them homes and they get them pre-approved. Most of the time, they're not pre-approved. And if we start working with them, we give them our recommendation from our partner that we work with, the confidence behind it, the motivation behind it. You really don't start shopping because you're just so locked into the process with that said it's hard unless your realtor gives you a couple different options. everything in this industry moves so quick that it's
especially when you get into contract.
Well, again, we're in a state, or not in a state, in a city, where non-contingent offers are the norm. Like, my sister bought a home in Arizona. You purchase a home with all contingencies in place, and then you start running through everything.
Well, they don't even have inspections.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your disclosures, your inspections, your lending, and it's like then you have the chance to bounce it around. But now and today, it's like lender pre-approval, non-contingent.
But here's the thing: I think it doesn't take a genius to go online and figure out what are the rates in today's world, right? Google today's mortgage rates, and it'll tell you right there what the range should be. So I think buyers are educated enough to at least know where that range is, and I think you might. One of the reasons why 54% of them might not shop is that they've educated themselves on what is a fair mortgage rate, and they're okay with the rate that they've been given by their trusted resource.
Well, it was interesting that the number one reason was, like you said, timeline. So it was where the rate's at a certain point in the transaction. But what was interesting to me, what wasn't on there was relationships.
Right.
The way I am, it's like, hey, you're the expert. I trust you. I'm going to trust who you trust. And I would leave it at that.
Yeah.
So if you say that's my guy, hey, I'm with you.
Right.
So it was just interesting that wasn't even on the article. It's like, hey, relationships. This is my guy. It's fair.
And it's true, because I don't, even when a buyer talks to me about like lenders, I usually don't give like green lights or positive impact. If I had, I'm very transparent. If they say a lender that, I'm not going to say names, but if they go with a company that has done me wrong in the past or isn't communicative or slow, then I'll let them know, like, listen, I wouldn't use them. These are the people who I would use, and the relationships that I have with those people, even if they can't do it for them or get them the better deal, they will tell them that. They're not going to run them around through
The worst thing that can ever happen to us is where we have a buyer come to us and they say, oh, my brother's a mortgage broker. I just went online and I'm going with this guy, right? Or you get them all locked up. You get the contract signed and they're like, oh, I'm going to use this person. Because 80% of the time that's happened in my world, and I'm sure you guys can agree with this, it's been bad news. Something bad happens with it. Most mortgage brokers, there are some great ones out there. We work with a lot of really great ones. They're yes men and women. They're going to be like, hey, no problem, no problem. And then you get a week before closing and you find out you never even verified their income, right? Or like we deal with a lot of different nationalities and immigrants and everything, right? There's a lot of moving parts to the buyers that we deal with in our area.
The lenders are just as important as a real estate agent in the transaction.
Everyone, title officers.
Yeah,
it's like
great point.
Yeah, it's like relationships. It's a highly relationship business.
And we're the conductor of the orchestra, right?
Yep.
Our job is to conduct all the parties and bring them all together to it's as smooth as possible for our clients.
Biggest pet peeve: going with a lender in a different time zone who only works on business hours.
Because they're getting an appraisal done in a clearinghouse out of Sacramento. We're coming to Los Angeles.
As we're negotiating at 11:10 at night, the final to a contract.
Right?
We need verification.
But even in all aspects, how many times have you closed a house for a buyer or somebody and they say, the sprinklers are off or this light's not working? You go, don't worry, I got a handyman. I got a guy for that.
Yeah.
Send him right over.
Yep.
All right, good. So who are we with? So we got David's in Cabo. Aaron's on baby duty or something today.
Daddy
Swimming
daycare.
around, kicking out my
Swimming around.
Sushi.
Yeah, there you go. What else we got? I think we closed out. Is there anything you guys want to close out with?
I think the only thing that we have coming up as a team is our movie night here soon.
Yes. What's the date on that?
June 20.
We got Wolverine and
Deadpool,
right?
Deadpool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And if we're lucky, Mark will be in latex. So
baby, that's it. With the tidy whities. There we go. But also we've got the summer of fun is starting, right? We got Jazz on the Plaz, music in the park, the entire series for music in the park. So come on out. Have a drink with us. We'll see you then. We'll post all this online.
And don't forget to vote on our new names. If we don't, we'll throw yours up. We'll throw the old one up there too, just in case people are like, stick with it.
All things real estate, right?
That sounds
absolutely
good. Off the tongue.
There you go. That's 5 guys and a broker.
Boom.
No, there you go.
All right.
You guys let us know what your favorite is. Take care, everybody.
See ya.